Next, I'm so excited to welcome a representative from a government institute from the USA, Dr. Ola Olude-Afolabi. Dr. Ola Olude-Afolabi is presently a data scientist on detail at National Technical Information Service, Ntis. She leads the Department of Commerce, DOC, AI Center of Excellence, a transformational leader and an expert in artificial intelligence systems and emerging technologies, which includes AI policy governance, oversight, guidance, and reporting of DOC AI projects. At Ntis, Ola evaluates pioneering approaches and platforms in data innovations and AI that will address federal data priorities by advancing the use of data as a strategic asset to achieve mission outcomes and support evidence-based policies, transforming and optimizing supply chains using data science capabilities, promoting data governance and standardization, and creating new capabilities for data discovery, dataset search, and interoperability to connect and derive new insights for predictive analytics and prospective actions. Dr. Olude-Afolabi has been awarded the Woman of Distinction Award from the National Association of Distinguished Professionals and the U.S. Department of Commerce OCIO Bronze Medal Award. Welcome, Dr. Olude-Afolabi. You may begin your keynote presentation.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everywhere around where you're looking. Today I'm going to be, before I start, I want to thank some keynote people who has given me the opportunity to make this discussion. I would like to say thank you to my director, Greg Capella. I also say thank you to the Chief of Staff, Randy Caldwell, to the Chief Data Scientist, Dr. Shakib Sharibi, and the Associate Director of Programs, Elizabeth Shaw. Without them, this would not be possible. They have been very, very instrumental to this. So, getting straight, I wanted to talk to everyone about how Ntis is leading this space, a pathway for data innovation and AI in the U.S. federal government. I also want to say thank you to Eric for such a short introduction. One of the things that one of the things is NTI has a mission, and their mission is to promote the Department of Commerce federal data priorities, including open access and open data, by providing information and data services to public, industry, and other federal agencies in ways that enable U.S. innovation and economic growth. It allows government entities to focus on more strategic aspects of their commission, while we deliver innovative, unique, and flexible solutions. We deliver economies of scale and savings, operational effectiveness, collaboration and transparency, and quality customer service. And because of that, the authority has JVP, something you call a joint venture partnership. The authority allows NTIS to enter into joint venture partnership agreements with industry, academia, to provide new or improved information products or services. So you can see the authority right there in the lower. And so we're going to go ahead and talk about data and AI projects. Basically, what we do is we're empowering federal agencies to leverage data as a strategic asset. And this is a space that we want to lead in the federal space. These are the things we offer: data analytics and visualization solutions, fraud and anomaly detection, RPAs or robot processing automation and augmented intelligence, AI for cybersecurity, emerging technologies, evidence-based decision-making, machine learning, natural language processing, or NLPs, and artificial intelligence. That is a broad array of AI solutions. Enterprise data platform, data governance and management. So these are where we empower federal agencies. And what is the NTIS process? Well, we start up with idea, what you call idea eight. We ideate, and this is when we actually start the process by it's a federal to federal agent, federal to federal, um, where the federal um, where the federal agent, it's a federal to federal discussion or communication or collaboration on processes. It's when um, the two federal agencies, they come up with um, the problems and the problems that they're going to talk about. Also, they get to the point where they conceptualize. That's the second process. And as they get into that second one, they write out their problem statements. It's jointly developed. They go through something you call a whiteboard insertion, and they create an opportunity announcement. Then at that point, they start, they propose, receive, and evaluate technical, written, and oral presentations and financial proposals, because now it's sent out to JVPs, to their partners. And from that, you implement or you kick off the solutions. And this takes about 30, 45 to 60 days. Well, the next one will tell you the details of what these are. If you're a federal agent, or you're coming from agencies, you are pretty introduced, or you definitely know what you call a 7600A and a 7600B. You discuss your current status, your needs, your business needs, your challenges, your priorities, and that is when we go through the ideate process. And from there, you get to conceptualize process, where you jointly develop the problem statement through the whiteboard insertion, and then you create an opportunity and an announcement for our JVPs. And so we receive and evaluate the technical presentations and both the written and oral presentations, and then have some proposals. And like I initially said, we select our partner and we kick off the project. So the next slide is going to show you what you call a whiteboard insertion. This was pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, we actually physically, they come into a conference room, we look at each other, we have questions, the agency explains their data mission and their general requirements. The JVP poses questions, comments. Have you considered this? Have you thought about this? What are your timelines? What are this? And then this session kind of allows for better understanding of the problem, and so that they can come up with exact proposals for that. So what I'm going to go ahead and discuss what agencies we've worked for and the solutions. As you can see, these are quite a number of agencies. These are about 12. We've worked, one of the highest was like the third one is the Health and Human Services, where NTIS was detecting complex fraud patterns. And this had to do with about 1.3 or 1. Around, $1.5 trillion. And the data has to do with, if you're familiar with Medicaid and Medicare, they have a lot of data out there. So we're able to detect complex fraud patterns. With Department of Homeland Security, we're able to improve quality control of data collection. We have a lot of different problems that we're providing solutions to. There's one about the USAID Agency International Development. It's multi-nation and multi-platform data integration. This is where we provided evidence-based solution regarding 600,000 cases of mosquito diseases and with 200,000 deaths. So we were able to use the data to come up with such evidence-based solutions. Here are a number of our joint venture partners. We have a lot. We have currently about 43, and we have the big names, and we still have more. And the reason we're having more of this is because we're anticipating more. We're anticipating a lot of this because one of the things I didn't say is we've been doing this and we've been the best kept secret in the government, but now we're open for business. And when we're open for business, we have these partners. We're going to be going on a larger scale. And when we go on a larger scale, we want to make sure that we have enough partners for enough to provide solutions for the problems that we encounter for the big data we're going to be having. So right down there you have a link. It's called the Federal Register. And this is where you have the opportunity to enter into joint venture partnership with the National Technical Information Service for data innovation support. All you have to do is go to your Google and type in, joint venture partnership with NTIS or National Technical Information Service for data innovation support. What you will notice is it will come up with this Federal Register, and right on it, it will give you the requirements for you to apply. On these joint venture partners, as you can see that list, you can see the big consulting. We have both big, medium, small consulting. We have Booz Allen, one of the popular ones. IBM is on that list. Also, University of Minnesota. That's to tell you that we also work with academia, and KPMG, SRI International. So we have just about, and we are having more to add to these venture partners list. So you will ask, what is the benefit to all this? What's the value? Well, there's an accelerated project startup because, as I earlier told you, it's something that has to do within 30 and 60 days. I would say at an average of 45 days. NTIS tries to initiate projects quickly through collaboration with the customer and with our established relationship with our JVPs. The JVPs are very highly valued to us. We're highly collaborative throughout the whole project. We remain closely involved through the lifetime of the project. We're extremely diverse. There's an extremely diverse skill set pool through the NTIS vetted JVP pool, and the ability for them to partner with any other entity. We offer unprecedented access to industry expertise. The customer, which is basically the federal agency we're dealing with, they have full ownership. The customer fully drives the agile product, ensuring that its business needs are accomplished. And then the last but not the least, there's less invoicing burden. There's not a lot of invoice problems. NTIS vets the work performed and gets back to that federal bureau, and the rest is history because we get the agency's approval prior to authorizing payment, and so there's no payment issues. As you all know, this moves us to the next of the importance of AI ethics. We have to protect our citizens and the nation's top priority. And as our technology advances, the risk of harms also increases. And that is why we have to keep our data and our confidential information safe and secure. And hence, we suggest, or we have something we call responsible AI resources. So I'll go through this. The first one we have is what we call the executive order. 13960. And this is promoting the use of trustworthy AI in the federal government. So all our federal agencies are required to inventory their AI use cases and share their inventories with other government agencies. So this is also a plus to the JVPs. If you have good solutions, other agencies are going to hear about it, and then it's going to go, they're going to be happy to say, guess what? NTIS did this, and which has always happened. We always have repeated successes. So having the executive order to, kind of give us a criteria of how we have to identify, provide guidance, make publicly available the criteria, the format and mechanism for agency inventories of these use cases by use case of AI by all agencies. And then we have to share the consolidated inventories with other agencies too, as I earlier said. So what's our plan, or what has been the plan? First of all, we go through the people, process, technology. We start with our stakeholder communication, our senior executives, our privacy department, our OGC, Office of General Counsel, our public affairs, our bureaus and our OUs. And then we gather them together. We make sure they're trained, they're upskilled. We talk about the projects. We know that definitely these are, whenever you're talking about data and AI solutions, all these people needs to be involved. We gather them and, start communicating about what you want to do. And then we go through the process. So one of it is I spoke about Executive Order 13960. For federal agencies, they can go to their federal CIO council and they will give them their sites where they would get the documents to, there's actually a format for how you're going to inventory your use cases. And then we have these frameworks. And these frameworks I'm going to show you, but this is just a list. And the next slides I'm going to talk about these frameworks. You have your NIST AI risk management framework. You have your Geo Accountability framework. You have your intelligence community ethics framework, your AI governance toolkit from GSA, your DIU responsible AI, and something I call AI ethics from the IEEE certification. Next, we're going to go to technology, which is kind of the last one. I kind of alluded to the JVP authority. So by the time you are with us, you would have done your people, you would have gone through, you would have had your stakeholder communication, you would have known all the processes you need to do. So by the time you get to us, which is basically the JVP authority, we're going to be there just working on your, where the operational part of your projects, of your data and AI project. And so there's a SharePoint site that that DOC, or Department of Commerce AI Center of Excellence, keep, in which you too can have. You can look at that share site and get some of these resources for your own agencies. The next slide kind of shows an example of what the DOC AI Center of Excellence did to get, their executive order 13960 keep moving. So it has about 3, 4, 5, 9 sections. It tells you what to do. It tells you you have to have your implementation expertise, and you have to define that based on section 8C. You have to tell us who your, not us, but you have to call tell OGC or follow the 13960 executive order and identify your RA, what you call a responsible AI official. And so when you do that, then the next thing is it tells you you have to get your use cases, you have to have an inventory, and then yearly you have to get your use case and you have to prepare them and submit them annually. Then after that, you take that use case and then you look at it, whether you've deployed the right one. Have you reviewed it and assessed it for inconsistency? If they're inconsistent, what do you need to do to make them consistent? And if not, then we have to figure out how to um, remove that from you so that we are safe and to follow the responsibility rules. And then from there, you have to create something you call a DOC AI plan. So when you're looking at this on your plan, you will see that I've written completed, completed, completed. All of them are really completed, but this was one of a backdated. So I know it says in progress, but it's actually completed. So the next one that I earlier alluded to are the frameworks. These are the responsible AI frameworks that you're going to use. So the first one is the Geo Accountability. This is developed by Geo from a very good colleague of mine, Takariga. It alludes to artificial intelligence and accountability framework for federal agencies and other entities. And it has like 4 areas. It tells you how to make your data accountable, your AI system or project accountable in the area of data, governance, monitoring, and performance. And so the next one, the one right beside that, these are like 3 different frameworks just beside each other. So the next one is from ethics, and that is from the intelligence community. And it gives you all this question for you to make sure that you know that your system is ethically responsible. And the third one here is for governance. This is from TT, probably GSA. It's your artificial intelligence governance toolkit, and in it you have your privacy. It talks about your privacy. It talks about what you need to do to make sure that you get your system working. You know, your security, data privacy. Sometimes it tells you what you need to do to keep it moving. So I have 2 more left. It has Responsible AI Guidelines and Practice. This is by DIU. I think that's Defense Innovation Unit. And when you get this document, what it does, it talks you through about how to go step by step after you get your your project going, and you move on step by step. It will tell you what to do. It has forms, it has like workbooks in it, and this one from the last but not the least is National Institute of Standards and Technology, which is another agency under Commerce. This kind of lists to you what you call the AI risk management framework. And in having your risk management framework, this is about probably their second or their third round at this. They're working on it. You can go to their website, www.nis.gov, and it gives you training, paperwork on things to do. And they're using something they call map, measure, and manage, and they're governing a culture of risk management cultivated, guidelines for the risk management framework. As of this morning, Department of Energy is also doing a training on risk management playbook. They also have so any of these resources for a responsible AI, so that they know that they're having the right thing to do, or their project is actually responsible. Now, when we talk about responsibility, you definitely know that you're using something called it has to be fair, it has to be accountable, it has to be transparent, and also ethical. So this next one talks about Analytic Standards that the Department of Commerce is picking, which is basically on IEEE. You have to, and while we're doing this, just to understand and anticipate the value implications, identify ethical value requirements and priority for system design. It's integrated into the system requirements. It's choosing system design alternatives. So the project leader that comes from that agency would have known what needs to be done. They will have to do ongoing supervision, information management, creating transparency and responsibility for choices made and system results in functionality. So there's a picture for that. So it's a diagram or process diagram. It's a transparent process, a transparent management process. And it has to go through concept exploration stage, through the development stage, and right in between, you're, making sure that your ethical values elicitation and prioritization process, you're having ethical requirements during the definition process and your risk-based design. So when you're designing it, you are actually following your risk process, your ethical risk. You are making sure you're baking it into the design process. So in summary, what what does NIST have to offer? Their easy access to solutions, collaboration reduces the time to start. You also have the federal to federal services. Having both of them, it allows for transparent communication and exchange of ideas. You have that wide range of industry expertise from a diverse range of partners, which includes industry and academia. We want you to know that Ntis will be managing that JVP relationship. So, the JVPs, the partners will be much, much comfortable with us because we're ensuring that the customer satisfaction. And so for the federal agencies, it's their agreement will be with NTIS and FUED. So we're right in the middle, making sure that we're supervising everything and making sure that the process goes so smoothly. Then the agile development that we're going to be using or we will be using allows the ability to test different strategies to achieve optimal solution. And basically, there are no paperwork. There's change of specification. And because of this, we have high satisfaction rate. And you can tell because we have repeated customers come over and over. HHS is a very good example. And like I alluded to, we have reduced invoice burden, so payment is very, it's very fluent. There's no burden of this paperwork before anyone gets paid. So this, so if we have questions on the next page, I have put the contact details of the NTIS Chief of Staff. His name is Randy Cardwell, and that is his email address. And that same email address is on the website for the JV opportunity, the JV partnership on the website for the Federal Register if you are going to apply to be a partner. And the last but not the least page is these are the people I'm going to be thanking, and a whole lot. I also thank my direct supervisor, Mr. Larry Rubindal, and my chief of staff, Mr. Andrew Mendez, in addition to the NTI's director, the chief of staff, the chief data scientist, and the associate director of program development. And I guess this ends my presentation. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Ola, for that. That was great. So let's get on with this fire chat. First question I have here is, as a leader and expert in artificial intelligence systems and emerging technologies, including areas such as AI policy, governance, oversight, guidance, and reporting of DOC AI projects, what do you feel are the foundations for building a better AI ecosystem?
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, we have to know what the AI ecosystem is. And looking at it from a systems perspective, you want to look at it when you have to build, you have to start from the data, then you move on to the AI model, and then you get the output, or what you call a value. Well, building a foundation, a better AI ecosystem, or the foundation for that, you have to make sure that the data must be unbiased. You have to make sure, and there are tools out there to test data bias. Histogram, box plots, QQ plots, all sorts. And now it's so funny when I tell people that you have to test your data for normality using something you call a KS test, or Common Graph Smirnov test, or Wick Shapiro's test. And these are things that you have to check your data. Also, your AI models, you have to be monitored regularly for drafts. Your models, your machine learning models, your deep learning, they have to be monitored. And that's why responsible AI has to play here. It has to be, like I said, it has to be fair. It has to be accountable. It has to be ethical. It has to be transparent. We have to know what it's doing. And basically, because it's a government, we have to also bake in security as you go in. So these tools need to be you know to be baked into the system. Make sure it's through the design process. These tools, tools like data cards, model cards, they should use to track model and data changes. Algorithm bias should also be monitored. Things like this, you will be able to build a better AI ecosystem. Hope I answered your question.
In particular, your department evaluates pioneering approaches and platforms in data innovations and AI that will address federal data priorities by advancing the use of data to achieve mission outcomes and support evidence-based policies. How will data play an integral role in transforming and optimizing supply chains, promote data governance and standardization, and create new capabilities for data discovery and new insights for predictive analytics?
You look at all of this, you will notice that when you do reviews, you do evaluations, these pioneer approaches, you will notice that all of them involve decision making. When you say this, I mean, you're just making decisions, but you want to make the right decisions. And you are making decisions on data, and we all know that data holds information. So these decisions can be based on this information that optimizes business processes. Insights can be discovered to make forecasts, to make predictions. We want to create new capabilities for this. It all depends on your data. These are things that we do to make sure that, and these are all dependent on your data. And this data has to be unbiased. And that's why now I remember when I was a graduate student, there was nothing called, well, there was just about medium data. We didn't call it big data then. But now, especially when you come to the federal government, you have big data. So you actually have to have, data engineering, data chop. You chop the data, clean up the data, make sure you look for, missing data. So data really does play an integral role in transforming them, because you have to make decisions on this data. And it's very important. That's why you have to know the provenance of the data. Where's the data coming from? Where has it been? You have to make sure that the data follow a normal distribution. Is it skewed to the right? Is it skewed to the left? I mean, there's a lot of things you have to look at in data. And so data is very, very important.
All right, let's try some of these audience questions now. We've got an interesting one from Miss Renalyn Lopez. She asks, how is AI involved in Hipaa compliance in the United States? most specifically in protecting the information of the patients?
When you come to HIPAA compliance, how is data involved? Majority of the time, when you talk about HIPAA compliance, it has to do with privacy and it has to do with laws. Now, how does the data have to do with that? Well, you are now have to deal with data security, and that data has to be secured, and that's why you have, when it comes to HIPAA, you make sure that the person is responsible for their data and is responsible for sharing their data. So that data security is highly important.
Pascal Hernandez wants to know, how can countries find a good balance between freedom, democratization, and regulation of data privacy, security, and algorithms?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a challenging one because it depends on different countries. You cannot talk for all countries, but one thing I've noticed is there's something called the NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology. They're trying their best to make sure that they come to a conclusion, to a collaboration, having all these meetings with either with the OECD or with the European Union, to make sure that they all come to um, and I think with Canada, with the Canadian government, to make sure that their algorithms are um, not biased, and to come up with how to measure or how to regulate bias in algorithms, which is kind of a little challenging, but I believe they will get there. They're just in different meetings and talks and communications and coming up with good ideas to make sure that um, algorithm bias is reduced.
John Harvey Antonio asks, what are your thoughts on possible data breaches that can destroy the model's integrity and lose people's trust? How can the machine determine if the data is precise and accurate for the AI to process information?
And the data, could you repeat that question? I think there are so many factors to that question.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on possible data breaches that can destroy the model's integrity and lose people's trust? And how can the machine determine if the data is precise and accurate for the AI to process information?
Oh, what are my thoughts on data breaches? Well, we all don't like data breaches. We don't like it at all, and no one likes it. So, what are my thoughts? I'm just in the same boat with everyone. I don't like it, and so that is where security comes in, and that's why, if you notice, we have AI for cybersecurity. And now, your second portion of the question now says, how can we how can we lose trust? What can a machine do to gain trust? Well, the machine can only try. It can only try, and the only way it can try is to learn, from data and keep learning from that data breach, and learning, if we have collected proper data, um, hopefully we can also have a model to learn from that data and make sure that we get our systems secured, more security, so that we can um, we can totally reduce, or we can totally eliminate data breaches, but we can reduce occurrence of data breaches.
All right, we've got 1 minute left. Will you look on the right side of your screen there and choose the most thoughtful question that we have selected there so we can award a prize?
Hey, I know you said I should look on my right side screen.
In the participants' questions, click on the question mark in the circle there.
Oh yeah, you said, are these all the questions, or just or just all of, or just the ones you asked me? Because they're more than expected that you asked me, right?
The ones with the gold stars are the ones that our silent moderator chose as the best questions. So pick one of those.
What did I do to pick one of those? Do I just
Yep. Which one it is. That's all.
did? Did you see it?
No. No. Read it out for us so we can hear it.
In your perception, what would be the negative impact of the kind of innovation in the world 20 years from now?
All right. All right.
I think you will. I think I will need to think harder on that. The negative impact of this kind of innovation in the world 20 years from now. Um, I, so let me think about my AI. I have to think 20 years back to know to move forward to do 20 years forward. So I think that's something I have to think harder on before I can answer.
All right. Well, we're about out of time. I would like to thank you for taking the time to have this presentation with us. I believe that we have a panel discussion coming up. It has been a pleasure talking to you, Dr. Ola.
So much, Michael. I really, really appreciate it.
Have a good day.